After 4 years of dating, during which I had wanted to save my most intimate moment for our wedding night, he unilaterally broke up with me on our anniversary. A week later, I attended a class reunion. As soon as I walked in, I saw Ethan passionately embracing and kissing Chloe, the ostensibly innocent school beauty who had bullied me for 4 years. Amidst the cheers and encouragement of the crowd, his gaze flickered to me, taking in my designer outfit, the same one Chloe was wearing. Ethan pulled a blushing Chloe closer, a sneer plastered on his face as he scoffed at me. "Luna, you're so desperate to get me back that you'd stoop to wearing fakes. I'm telling you, give up. Chloe and I are getting engaged soon. I wouldn't be caught dead with you, not in this lifetime." I gave him a dismissive look and said coldly, "What makes you think I'd still be interested in a man who only thinks with his pants?" The moment I stepped into the private room, I was met with a heated scene. Ethan was holding Chloe, the ostensibly innocent school beauty who had bullied me for 4 years, and they were locked in a passionate embrace, oblivious to the suggestive cheers of the onlookers. My stomach churned. I instinctively recoiled, wanting to close the door and block out the nauseating sight, but a classmate returning from the restroom bumped right into me. "Hey, why are you standing at the door? Aren't you coming in?" The voice wasn't loud, but it felt like a pause button had been pressed. Everyone in the private room instantly turned their attention to me. Ethan also stopped abruptly. The moment he recognized me, the lust in his eyes was replaced by intense scorn. He pulled a blushing Chloe into his arms as if she were a precious rarity, a sneer twisting his lips as he spoke coldly. "Luna, how did I never realize how shameless you are? You're so desperate to get me back that you even rented a trendy, latest season outfit just to put on a show. But some people are just born ugly. Why ducklings? They'll never become swans. And I'm telling you again, give up. Chloe and I are getting engaged soon." I looked at his repulsive face, still smeared with Chloe's lipstick, and stated coldly, "This was a gift from Alexander, and what makes you think I'd still be interested in a man who's constantly in heat?" Chloe, nestled in Ethan's arms, let out a mocking laugh. "Your brother? Luna, you're an orphan, a pauper who had to go scavenging for recyclables to get through school. Don't tell me this brother is actually your sugar daddy, is he?" Hearing this, Ethan's eyes practically overflowed with disgust and contempt. "Oh, so you found yourself a sugar daddy. No wonder I was with you for 4 years and you never let me touch you once. You claimed you were saving your most precious moment for your wedding night, but it turns out you're just a cheap slut who's been with 1,000 men." Chloe immediately reached out, tenderly stroking Ethan's face, her voice so sweet it seemed to drip with honey. "Ethan, it's okay, it's all in the past. Anything you want in the future, I'll give it to you." I stared in disbelief at the man I had spent 4 years with, unable to believe such vile words were coming from his mouth. For years ago, to win me over, Ethan would pick me up from work no matter the weather. Surprise flowers, small cakes when I was down, warm concern when I was sick. Having never felt so much warmth before, my heart gradually softened. And that feeling lasted 4 years. 3 months ago, my billionaire father found me and brought me home. During the family discussion about marriage, I confessed that I had a boyfriend. After Alexander and Eleanor found out, they insisted on secretly observing Ethan for a period. If he passed their assessment, they would approve of our relationship. But just a week ago, on our 4-year anniversary, he unilaterally broke up with me. The reason was my refusal to give him my first time. The surrounding classmat listened to their back and forth and started murmuring among themselves. "Yeah, Luna used to mend her socks back in school. And now she's wearing a designer outfit, the same as Chloe's. See? The easiest way for poor people to get rich is to use their bodies. It's true, the honest path is for the hardworking, but the crooked path is for the exploitative." I didn't want to argue with them anymore and turned to leave. Ethan gently lifted Chloe by the waist, carefully set her down on a chair, then took a few quick steps to block my way. "Since you're here, why don't you stay and eat?" He smiled provocatively, his gaze sweeping over my entire body. "Someone like you probably only works at night, right? It's not that time yet." As soon as he said that, the entire room erupted in harsh laughter. The next second, he abruptly grabbed my wrist. Ethan's eyes fell on the classic designer bag in my hand, and a smug look of self-satisfaction appeared on his face. Well, isn't that the bag I gave you? You just can't get over me, can you? You keep saying you don't like me, but you're still carrying the bag I gave you. What's with the pretense of being so pure?" I slapped his hand away forcefully and said coldly, "You gave it to me? Are you talking about the fake bag you bought from a reseller?" "Sorry, that bag was thrown out ages ago. This one was a gift from Eleanor." As I spoke, I revealed the scarf attached to the bag strap, one of only 3 in the world, worth hundreds of millions. Chloe followed my movement and her eyes widened. She suddenly stood up and shrieked, pointing at me, "Isn't that my scarf? How did you get it? Luna, your hands are still as dirty as they were in school." Tears immediately welled up in her eyes. She turned and threw herself into Ethan's arms, whimpering, "Ethan, do you know? She used to steal my things back in school. Several times, bracelets or new skincare products my parents bought me would mysteriously disappear, and later, I found out she'd stolen them. I knew she was a pathetic orphan, so I'd even buy her food. I didn't ask for anything in return, but I never imagined she hated me so much. Not only does she dress like me, but she also stole my scarf, and worst of all, she's trying to ruin our relationship." A chorus of gasps immediately rose from the surroundings, and everyone looked at me with disdain and revulsion. "She's a thief. Chloe is famous in our class for being beautiful and kind-hearted. After graduation, she went home to take over the family business, and she's done a lot of charitable work in recent years. How disgusting. Not only is she morally corrupt, but she's also a thief." I cast a cold glance at the people around me, realizing they were all Chloe's close friends from school, along with the sycophants who used to fawn over her. None of the people she had bullied were present. It became clear that this class reunion was a setup, orchestrated by her after she learned about my relationship with Ethan. Facing her distorted accusations, I suppressed the rage churning within me, my voice remarkably steady. "Chloe, you're still as shameless as ever. You clearly framed me and staged those incidents yourself, just to feed your vanity. And now you're using the same tactics to frame me again. Don't you find yourself sickening? Since you claim I took your scarf, let's call the police." As I spoke, I reached into my bag for my phone. The moment I pulled it out, Ethan snatched it from my hand and violently smashed it onto the tile floor. "That's enough. Luna, who the hell are you putting on this act for? Do you actually think I'd believe you, that I'd come back to you? First you say your outfit was from Alexander, then your bag was from Eleanor. Is there a single truthful word that comes out of your mouth? Now, immediately return her things to Chloe and then get down on your knees and apologize to her." Kneel and apologize? It was as if I'd heard the funniest joke imaginable. I straightened my back, my voice calm. "Do you really think you deserve that? Besides, every word I've said is true. I can stand by my words, can you?" My refusal clearly enraged Ethan again. His face turned livid, and he ceaselessly stroked Chloe's back. Before he could speak, a male classmate who used to fawn over Chloe in school, along with 2 of Chloe's hangers-on, suddenly sprang from their seats. They rushed towards me, muttering curses. "You ungrateful slut. It's an honor for us to tell you to kneel to Chloe." Then, the male classmate kicked me hard behind the knee. Excruciating pain shot through me. Caught off guard, my body lost balance, and I fell heavily onto the tile floor. Seeing me on my knees, the onlookers' cheers suddenly grew louder. "Weren't you refusing to kneel? Why didn't you just do it earlier, you weakling? Aren't you going to apologize? You stole something and you're still so stubborn." Excruciating pain radiated from my knees, making my eyes burn. I tried to stand up, but my shoulders were firmly held down. "Apologize." Ethan looked down at me, his eyes filled with contempt. "Give the scarf back to Chloe, then kowtow 3 times and loudly say, 'I, Luna, am a lowlife and a thieving scoundrel, and I'll let you go.'" I lifted my head, my gaze like daggers, and glared fiercely at him. "In your dreams. If you do this, Richard, Alexander, and Eleanor won't let you get away with it." Ha 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 ha. Immediately, the entire room burst into laughter. Ethan looked as if he'd heard the funniest joke of the century. Chloe, nestled in his arms, let out an incredibly grating laugh. "Luna, have you gone insane from the shock?" Ethan stopped laughing, his tone laced with extreme mockery. "Your dad, your brother, your sister? Are you talking about that sugar daddy you met scavenging for scraps? Or some wild relative who crawled out of the woodwork? Won't let us get away with it? Do you think I'm easily scared?" As SP Oak, he dramatically patted his chest. "Exactly." Chloe shook her head, feigning pity, but her words were razor-sharp. "Luna, I know being dumped by Ethan must be a huge blow, but there's no need to invent some family to comfort yourself, is there? Saying such delusional things will just make people think you're crazy." I took a deep breath, suppressing the surging emotions, and stated with absolute clarity, "I'm not imagining anything. I am the daughter of Richard, the billionaire of Harbor City." Her words were like drops of water hitting hot oil. The private room fell silent for a fleeting moment. After a brief silence, an even louder wave of mockery and doubt erupted. "Luna is really losing it. Why doesn't she just say she's the president's daughter? Richard is your dad? Ha ha ha, then I'm his father. No way, did she get caught stealing and hit her head, and now she can't afford treatment and is spouting crazy talk? Chloe's smile faltered for a second, then her smugness magnified, and her voice suddenly rose in excitement. You said Richard is your dad? So you're saying Eleanor is your sister? And is your brother? Luna, you really have a vivid imagination. Do you even know what the Lowe family means in Harbor City? She turned to the others, gloating. Do you all know whose property this hotel is today? One of the girls holding me down immediately caught on, a look of sudden realization on her face. This hotel is the Evergreen, part of Evergreen, and it's apparently managed personally by the eldest son of the Lowe family. Chloe's eyes gleamed with malice as she turned her gaze to Ethan. Ethan, since Luna insists on this, why don't we invite the manager of this hotel to confirm if this Lowe family's daughter is real or fake? Ethan's face lit up with admiration and doting affection the moment Chloe suggested this. Mai is so clever. He turned to a classmate beside him and said, Go, tell a server to get their manager. The named classmate quickly opened the door and hurried out. Soon, a man in a sharp suit, with a shrewd and capable expression, was ushered into the private room by a server. His eyes flickered with surprise when he saw me pinned to the floor, then he quickly adopted a professional smile. Distinguished guests, I am Michael, the manager of this hotel. How may I assist you? Chloe imperiously pointed at me, kneeling on the floor, her tone brimming with undisguised contempt and an ambiguous insinuation. Michael, you've arrived just in time. This lady, wearing a rented outfit identical to mine, insists she's the daughter of your Evergreen chairman. We find it absurd and suspect she's mentally unstable, just trying to swindle people here. If this affects the hotel's reputation, or your career, manager, we'd like you to identify if she is indeed a young lady of the Lowe family. Michael's gaze followed Chloe's finger and landed on me. At that moment, my hair was disheveled, my clothes wrinkled from the struggle, and I was kneeling miserably on the floor. Michael merely glanced at me, and his expression shifted from polite to scornful, then to undisguised contempt and disgust. This is not Mississippi. The family only has one daughter, Mississippi. This person is likely trying to use the Lowe family's name to latch onto all of you, he declared, leaving no room for doubt. Michael, I'm the Lowe family's youngest daughter. Richard found me only 3 months ago, and my identity hasn't been publicly announced yet. If you don't believe me, you can call Alexander to confirm. I tried to explain, but Michael sharply cut me off. Shut up. Richard is a very busy man, and Miss is of noble status. How could we allow someone like you to impersonate her? I'm telling you, apologize to Miss immediately, or don't blame me for having security escort you out. Did you hear that, Miss? Even the manager under your own brother doesn't recognize you. Looks like your act failed, huh? Ethan smiled smugly, clearly very pleased with Michael's performance. Chloe's eyes swept coldly over me, her face a mix of victorious malice and excitement. She shrieked her command. Throw her out. Don't let her defile this place and ruin everyone's appetite. Michael immediately signaled to the 2 security guards at the door. 2 burly men immediately stepped forward, roughly grabbing my arms from either side. They dragged me up from the floor like a sack of potatoes, completely disregarding the excruciating pain in my knees and the brutal tugging. Let me go. I really am a daughter of the Lowe family. You'll regret this. I struggled desperately, trying to make them release me. One of Chloe's hangers-on suddenly stepped forward and viciously slapped my face. Regret? You shameless slut. Not only do you bully our Chloe and try to ruin Ethan and Chloe's relationship, but you also dare to impersonate a young lady of the Lowe family. You're the one who'll be regretting this. As she spoke, she delivered a hard kick to my waist, and my head slammed against the door as the guards dragged me. Instantly, I felt dizzy and disoriented. I fought to stay conscious as the 2 security guards mercilessly dragged me out of the private room and slammed me down onto the luxurious carpet. What are you looking at? You thieving, crazy imposter of a rich young lady. Michael stood at the private room door, loudly addressing the curious servers peeking down the hallway. His voice echoed clearly throughout the area. Everyone disperse. Don't disturb the other guests dining. Then he turned with a fawning smile to the guests peeking out from their private rooms. My apologies, everyone. As a gesture of goodwill, I've decided to personally offer each private room a bottle of premium aged whiskey. The private room door slammed shut with a bang. The guests in the hallway didn't disperse because of Michael's gesture. Instead, they began pointing and whispering about me. Looks of contempt, curiosity, and schadenfreude pierced me like coup. Plus needles. I struggled to push myself up, but my whole body ached. A moment later, a familiar, intense heavy sensation came from my lower abdomen. Sharp, twisting pain swept through my entire body, as if countless hands were tearing at my flesh inside my stomach. Cold sweat instantly drenched my forehead, and my vision began to blacken in waves. I instinctively curled into a ball, trying to alleviate the agonizing pain. A warm liquid flowed from my lower body, soaking my underwear and the light-colored hem of my skirt. Damn it! My period came early. She's bleeding. A female server shrieked in terror. That single scream instantly drew more attention. People in the hallways upstairs and downstairs all turned to look at me. The private room door was suddenly pulled open, and Chloe and Ethan stood at the entrance. Seeing me curled up in pain on the floor, and the obvious bloodstains on my skirt, Chloe's eyes flashed with malevolence. She covered her mouth, but her voice suddenly rose, filled with shock and dawning realization. Oh my God! Luna, you actually had a miscarriage. Her shout instantly made Ethan's face harden. He stared intensely at me. Luna. So, you didn't want me to touch you because you were pregnant, is that it? You're disgusting. You cheated on me. Everyone in the hallway was utterly shocked. What? A miscarriage? Oh my God, no wonder she's wearing such nice clothes. She must have gotten pregnant by some rich guy who then dumped her. TSK, how disgusting. That guy is really unlucky. It sounds like this woman cheated on him. Slut, serves her right. And a thief too, how unlucky. How can someone like this be allowed in an evergreen hotel? Ethan feigned rubbing his temples, then said coldly to Michael, Michael, throw this slut out onto the street. I never want to see her again. As he spoke, 2 security guards immediately stepped forward, about to lay hands on me. Stop. Who gave you the audacity? Ev. Everyone looked towards the voice. A man in a tailored suit stood with a handsome young man and a beautiful young woman by his side. Someone immediately recognized who they were. It's Richard and Alexander. Chloe's eyes lit up as she looked at the trio, exclaiming excitedly, Richard. This clueless slut actually impersonated your daughter and Alexander's sister. And she stole my scarf. We've already taught her a lesson for you. As she spoke, Chloe linked her arm through Ethan's. Seeing this, Michael immediately stepped forward to take credit, grinning like a wagging dog. Richard, I've already appeased the dining guests. I'll immediately drag this slut away so she doesn't offend your eyes. No sooner had he finished speaking than Alexander delivered a fierce kick to Michael's lower body. His voice was as cold as ice. Slut? Are you saying that Luna, my own sister, the treasure the Lowe family searched for over 20 years and finally found, is a slut? Then what exactly are you, you blind idiot, you dog who aids evil? At these words, the entire room fell silent. Chloe forced out a disbelieving laugh and said to Alexander, Alexander, you must be mistaken, right? Isn't your sister right beside you? This person is merely... Slap, a sharp, resounding slap cut off Chloe's rebuttal. Eleanor stepped forward in a few quick strides, put all her strength into a fierce slap across Chloe's face, making Chloe stumble back several steps, her exquisitely made-up face rapidly swelling and turning red. Mistaken? You dare lay a hand on the Lowe family's youngest daughter? I think you have a death wish. Eleanor looked down at Chloe, her eyes filled with undisguised contempt. She quickly came to me, gently draped her coat over me, brushed away the damp strands of hair from my forehead, and called my name, her eyes red-rimmed. Luna, Luna, wake up. Dad, Alexander, and Eleanor are here. In my dazed state, when I recognized the people before me, tears of grievance streamed down my face. Eleanor. They bullied me. Eleanor's eyes immediately reddened. She squeezed my hand tightly and softly comforted me. Eleanor knows everything, Luna. Don't be afraid. She turned and looked at Richard and Alexander behind her. Dad, Alexander, I'm taking Luna to get her injuries treated first. Get a doctor here immediately. Alexander nodded and looked at the people behind him. Immediately locked down the entire hotel. No one in or out. For quick treatment, 2 female bodyguards carried me into the lounge next to the private room. They quickly helped me change my clothes, applied a heating pad for cramps, and a private doctor carefully treated my wounds and gave me a strong painkiller injection. A few minutes later, the discomfort in my body quickly subsided. Ethan was so terrified by the scene before him that his legs trembled. He deliberately put distance between himself and Chloe. Alexander narrowed his eyes, looking at him as if he were trash. So you're the beast my sister dated for 4 years, are you? Ethan's face was ashen, his lips trembling as he tried to argue. Alexander, Alexander cut him off, a cruel, cold smile playing on his lips. Do you know? For my sister's sake, because she liked you, our family had set up a 3-month assessment period for you. Ethan suddenly looked up, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Alexander continued. If you passed the test, it would prove your genuine affection for Luna and that your character was reliable. Then, as Luna's husband, you would receive the full support of Evergreen, and the Sterling could rise to prominence overnight. But I never expected you to be a man who only thinks with his pants, breaking up with my sister on our anniversary, and for such a disgusting reason. Ethan, whose ears had only registered the Lowe family's resources, immediately tried to explain. It's not like that, Alexander. I was just confused for a moment. In truth, I only have eyes for Luna. She still loves me, and I still love her. With assistance, I pushed open the lounge door, finding his nonsensical words laughable. Ethan, as if seeing a lifeline, suddenly knelt before me, repeatedly kowtowing. I was wrong, Luna, I know I was wrong. This woman seduced me. She climbed into my bed herself, and I only broke up with you because I felt guilty. I regret it now. Please give me another chance. I promise I'll listen to you this time and save your most precious moment for our wedding night. I watched this man's pathetic display, feeling nothing but profound disgust and amusement. Ethan, aren't you ashamed? You dumped me because I wouldn't sleep with you, and now you're with the woman who bullied me for 4 whole years. Not only that, but you both ganged up on me, falsely accused me of having a miscarriage during my period, and let them force me to my knees and beat me. And now you dare to say you love me? Your love makes me sick. With every word I spoke, the faces of Richard, Alexander, and Eleanor grew colder. Alexander clenched his fist and looked at his assistant behind him. Go investigate everyone present today. Everyone. Chloe was utterly enraged by Ethan's distorted accusations. Ethan, that's bullshit. Chloe shrieked. You were the one begging me like a lapdog for 3 months. Sending flowers, buying bags, constantly trying to impress me. You yourself said Luna was dull and boring, like a block of wood, and couldn't compare to even one of my fingers. And now you're claiming I seduced you, you spineless coward. As the two blamed each other, the assistant handed Alexander the documents. Alexander took one look, and a disgusted expression appeared on his face. Send this document to everyone here, to their phones. Everyone present immediately pulled out their phones, and when they saw the first page, gasps erupted. Oh my God, this so-called miss is actually an illegitimate daughter. Her mother was an escort. Holy crap, that's explosive. The corp is on the verge of bankruptcy? So he was only pursuing Chloe for her money. Oh my God, we've all been deceived by them. Charitable, school beauty socialite, it was all fake. 2 liars. Trash. The classmates who had just been fawning over Chloe and joining her in humiliating me now ignited like powder kegs. Overwhelmed by immense betrayal and fury, they realized they had offended a true heiress just to curry favor with an illegitimate daughter of an escort and a fake rich kid. They completely lost control. Chloe, you slut. You liar, you've deceived us for years. You're rotten to the core. How much have you taken from us over the years? You kept saying what you'd give us once you took over the Sioux family, but it was all lies. I'm going to beat you to death. And you pathetic gold digger. We're going to beat you both to death. The enraged crowd surged like a tidal wave towards Ethan, who was kneeling on the floor, and Chloe, who was leaning against the wall. Fists, slaps, and high heels rained down upon them. The sounds of slaps, curses, tearing fabric, and screams instantly erupted into a cacophony. Chloe's expensive dress was torn to shreds, large clumps of her meticulously styled hair were ripped out, her face and body were covered in scratches and bloody marks, and her delicate makeup was smeared into a mess. Ethan was also beaten until he scrambled away, covering his head, his body covered in footprints and spit. Cries for help and insults intertwined, and the scene was utterly chaotic. The family's bodyguards watched with cold eyes until Alexander subtly raised a hand, signaling them to step forward. They then dragged out a nearly barely recognizable Chloe and a bruised and swollen Ethan, as if picking up chickens, and tossed them into a corner like garbage. Both were ragged, covered in blood, their eyes vacant. The only emotion left in their gaze for each other was venomous hatred. Alexander looked at me with tender affection and less gentleness, saying softly, Luna, whatever you want to do next, we'll support you. Seeing the unwavering support in my family's eyes, my own eyes grew warm. I then looked at the people around me. Today, everyone who insulted and slandered me, and everyone who laid a hand on me, will face legal consequences. My gaze swept indifferently over Chloe, my voice icy. Chloe, for 4 years in college, you used your money to bully and frame me. Everything happening today is your own doing. I will unite with the other victims you've bullied before, gather evidence, and have you brought to justice. I won't let a single one of your actions go unpunished. Dazed from the beating, Chloe twitched her lips, revealing a wild, manic grin. She raised her hand, its fingernails broken and bleeding profusely, and shrieked at me, pointing, "What makes you think you can? You were just a pauper who went to school by scavenging for trash and bottles. Do you really think transforming into a rich person will wash away the cheapness in your bones? I'm a daughter of the Sioux family. No matter what, the Sioux family would never abandon me." I smirked, then looked at Alexander. Alexander's assistant immediately understood, pulled out his phone, and dialed the number for Robert, the chairman of the Sioux family. "Robert, I hear that the illegitimate daughter you had with that escort has offended our young miss. She claims the Sioux family would never abandon her, no matter what. Is that correct?" There was a few seconds of silence on the other end, then a man's fawning laugh came through. "Ryan, what on earth are you talking about? Our family has no daughter, only one son. As for those clueless individuals, please handle them, Ryan, and I will certainly reward you generously." Chloe stared in disbelief at the voice coming from the phone, her face ashen. "No, it's impossible, you're lying. My dad wouldn't abandon me." Before she could finish, Chloe was dragged away by a bodyguard. Seeing this, Ethan immediately knelt and kowtowed. I was wrong. Richard, Alexander, Luna, I truly know I was wrong. You." The next second, a pig-like shriek echoed through the hallway. "Ah!" Ethan writhed on the floor, clutching his bleeding crotch, struggling in agony. He had been castrated. Richard looked at Ethan squirming on the floor and said coldly, "Throw this beast in front of Sterling's entrance. Let that old man from the Pei family see him." Then, he lifted his deep eyes and swept his gaze over everyone present. "Today, anyone who spoke ill of my daughter will be blacklisted across all industries. All their companies will undergo asset liquidation and be declared bankrupt within 3 days." After these matters were handled, I was taken home. After resting at home for a week, my body fully recovered. The family held a press conference, publicly announcing my identity, and I began to learn about the company's affairs. Chloe's bullying was investigated by the public security organs. Sufficient evidence was gathered, and she was prosecuted for her various false accusations against me in the private room. As for the Sterling, knowing Ethan had no more value, they decisively abandoned him. He came to the Lowe family to beg me many times, but he was always beaten to a pulp by the bodyguards and fled in disgrace. Ultimately, he ended up in prison for falsely accusing and assaulting me along with Chloe. As for the others who laid hands on me that day, they also received their due punishment. Since then, the Lowe family established a legal team offering pro bono services for bullying incidents. And I am a part of it. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.